In the summer of 2021, a young couple set out on a cross-country road trip in a white Ford Transit van. They documented their journey on social media: sunsets, national parks, open roads. To the world, it looked like a dream. But on September 11th, 2021, Gabby Petito's family reported her missing. She had not been heard from in nearly 2 weeks. Her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, had returned home to Florida alone and was refusing to speak. What followed would become one of the most closely watched missing persons cases in modern American history, a story of love turned dark, digital breadcrumbs, and a desperate search across some of the most remote landscapes in the country. Gabrielle Venora Petito was born in 1999 in Blue Point, New York. She grew up on Long Island, known to family and friends as creative, adventurous, and deeply passionate about travel and the outdoors. As a teenager, Gabby attended Bayport Blue Point High School, where she was involved in various activities. She dreamed of building a life centered around travel, nature, and storytelling through social media. In approximately 2019, Gabby began a relationship with Brian Laundrie, who was also from the Long Island area. The two moved together to North Port, Florida, living with Laundrie's parents. They became engaged. Together, they converted a white Ford Transit van into a mobile home and launched a YouTube channel and social media accounts documenting their travels. The content portrayed an idyllic van life: freedom, beauty, connection. But behind the curated images, those close to the couple reportedly knew the relationship was troubled. Friends and family would later describe tensions that escalated over time, a reality far removed from what appeared online. In July 2021, the couple embarked on their cross-country road trip. They planned to visit national parks across the western United States. For Gabby, it was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime. On August 12, 2021, police in Moab, Utah, responded to a 911 call from a witness who reported seeing a dispute between a couple near their white van. Officers pulled the vehicle over and made contact with both Gabby and Brian. The responding officer's body camera footage, later released publicly, showed an emotionally distressed Gabby. Officers classified the incident as a mental health crisis rather than a domestic violence situation. No charges were filed. That decision would later face intense scrutiny. Experts and advocates argued that the officers may have missed critical warning signs. The Moab stop became one of the most analyzed police encounters in recent memory. Gabby's last confirmed communication with her family came around August 27th. She reportedly sent a text message to her mother, though her mother later expressed doubts about whether Gabby herself had actually written it. On September 2021, Brian Laundrie returned to his parents' home in North Port, Florida, alone, driving Gabby's van. He offered no public explanation. He did not contact Gabby's family. He retained an attorney. For 10 days, Gabby's family tried desperately to reach her and to get answers from Brian or his family. The Laundrie family did not respond. On September 11th, Gabby's parents filed a missing persons report with Suffolk County Police. The case immediately captured national attention. Social media users, true crime communities, and journalists mobilized in an unprecedented way. The hashtag #FindGabbyPetito trended worldwide as thousands joined the search effort. On September 19th, 2021, investigators discovered human remains in the Bridger-Teton National Forest in Wyoming, near the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. The following day, the Teton County coroner confirmed the remains were those of Gabby Petito. The Teton County coroner, Dr. Brent Blue, ruled Gabby's death a homicide by strangulation. The manner and cause of death were confirmed during the initial autopsy. Investigators now had a murder case. The FBI took the lead on the investigation, working alongside local agencies. A federal arrest warrant was issued for Brian Laundrie, not initially for murder, but for unauthorized use of a debit card belonging to Gabby after her death. Digital evidence proved critical. Investigators analyzed Gabby's phone records, social media posts, and GPS data. A crucial piece of evidence came from travel bloggers who had recorded dashcam footage showing the couple's van near Spread Creek around the time of Gabby's disappearance. Meanwhile, Brian Laundrie had vanished. His parents told investigators he had left home on September 13th to go hiking in the Carlton Reserve, a vast nature preserve near their North Port home. A massive search operation was launched. For weeks, law enforcement searched the Carlton Reserve and the adjacent Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. Dive teams, K-9 units, and aerial surveillance combed through more than 25,000 acres of dense, swampy terrain. The investigation also examined the Moab police stop more closely. An independent review later found that officers had made several errors in their handling of the August 12th encounter, including probable cause determinations. Throughout this period, public interest remained extraordinary. The case sparked a broader national conversation about missing persons, domestic violence awareness, and the disparity in media coverage between cases involving different demographics, a discussion that became known as missing white woman syndrome. On October 20th, 2021, after more than a month of searching, investigators discovered partial human remains in the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, an area that had previously been submerged under floodwaters. Near the remains, investigators found a backpack, a notebook, and a revolver. The remains were identified through dental records as those of Brian Laundrie. A medical examiner determined he had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The notebook recovered near Laundrie's remains contained what the FBI described as a written confession. In it, Laundrie reportedly claimed responsibility for Gabby's death. The full contents of the notebook were not publicly released. With both Gabby and Brian now deceased, there would be no criminal trial. The case, in its traditional legal sense, was closed. But for Gabby's family, the search for accountability was far from over. Questions immediately turned to the Laundrie family. Had Brian's parents known what happened? Had they helped their son evade law enforcement? The Petito family's attorney publicly called for answers and accountability. The FBI officially closed the Gabby Petito case in January 2022, confirming that Brian Laundrie was solely responsible for her death. The Bureau stated there were no other individuals believed to be involved in the homicide itself. Though no criminal trial could take place for Brian Laundrie, the pursuit of justice continued in civil court. In 2022, Gabby's parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's parents, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie. The lawsuit alleged that the Laundrie parents knew their son had killed Gabby and helped him flee, rather than cooperating with the investigation. It also alleged they caused emotional distress to Gabby's family during the search. Gabby's parents also filed a separate lawsuit against the Moab, Utah Police Department, alleging that officers failed to properly identify Gabby as a victim of domestic violence during the August 12th traffic stop and that their negligence contributed to her death. In 2024, a settlement was reached in the wrongful death lawsuit against the Laundrie parents. While specific terms were not fully disclosed, the resolution provided a measure of legal closure for the Petito and Schmidt families. The Moab police case also reached resolution. An independent investigation had found that the responding officers made unspecified errors. The city of Moab reached a settlement with the Petito family, and both officers ultimately left the department. For Gabby's family, justice was imperfect. There would be no defendant to face in a criminal courtroom, no verdict to hear read aloud, but they channeled their grief into something larger, a mission to protect others. In Gabby's memory, her family established the Gabby Petito Foundation, dedicated to supporting organizations that assist victims of domestic violence and provide resources for those in crisis situations. Gabby's parents became vocal advocates for domestic violence awareness. Her father, Joseph Petito, and mother, Nicole Schmidt, testified before Congress, urging lawmakers to strengthen protections for victims of intimate partner violence. The case also reignited discussions about inequities in missing persons coverage. Indigenous communities and families of color highlighted how their missing loved ones rarely receive the same level of media attention or law enforcement resources. Multiple states examined their domestic violence response protocols in the wake of the case. Law enforcement agencies across the country reviewed training procedures for officers responding to domestic disturbance calls, seeking to prevent similar outcomes. Gabby Petito was 22 years old. She loved the outdoors, art, and adventure. Her case reminded the world that behind every headline is a real person, and that the signs of danger are often visible long before tragedy strikes. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, help is available. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1 800 799 7233. You are not alone. A new case drops every day. Subscribe so you never miss one.